Hi ladies, so I'm so excited to be spending this time with you. How's your homework going this week? I've had the hardest time trying to find some quiet, uninterrupted time to get it done, but God is good and He's filling my days with my family's needs. But I did want to connect with you, and to be honest, my plan was to touch base with you midweek. And now look, it's already Monday and we're meeting this evening, but here goes. I didn't want to miss out on an opportunity to just encourage you as you have this last minute crunch, getting ready for tonight, going through the amazing studying we're doing here with Restless. So God's story. How does God's story fit with you? Where is your life story on that timeline that we looked at last week of God's story? This week we were encouraged to read through chapters 10, 11, and 12 of Hebrews. And as I was reading through it, I noticed so many things about the writer of Hebrews. It sounds like he was possibly in prison while he was writing this, or prior to writing this, based on some of the things he said. And I think sometimes my situation feels like I'm in a prison. And I love that our God uses people, even when we are in a prison type situation. He still uses us. As he used this writer to write one of the greatest books in the Bible. In Hebrews, they talk about our life being this race. I love looking at it as a race. The illustration works perfectly for me because I'm a terrible runner. I'm the slowest runner I know. Everyone runs faster than me. Most people walk faster than me. So if I'm trying to walk or run any type of race, I definitely need Jesus, because on my own I just make a mess. But I was super encouraged reading through Hebrews chapter 12. We were looking at the old and men and women of old through the Old Testament. This would have been like stories of people that the Hebrews, the Jewish people, would have known their stories. So they're kind of going through them in chapter 12. And by the way, did anybody else notice that the only woman mentioned by name is Rahab the prostitute? Not just Rahab, but Rahab the prostitute. I think that it's, as women, we need to see that our past may not be escapable. It still might define us, but it's redeemable in the cross. I think it was intentional that was put in there, that she was called Rahab the prostitute, so that we might know that no matter where we've been or what we've done, our lives are redeemable. God can still use us in His story. It's absolutely beautiful. As we read through the old men and women of faith, that was the common word, by faith, by faith. By faith, they were able to do all the things that they were able to do and believe and hope on. It was all by faith. I love the encouragement in chapter 12:1 that they are watching us, and not just as spectators, but I saw them more like as fans, not for us, but for God's story. I imagine myself in the Olympics trying to run a race in my current condition, not as some Olympian, and looking up at the stands and seeing men and women of faith supporting me. Such a great crowd of witnesses that are testifying to God's story of salvation and redemption for the world. Wow. And somehow in there we have a story too. And our story of faith is part of God's story. How are we doing with that? How are we living by faith? What does that look like? I don't know if we'll have that figured out by tonight or any time in the near future, but tonight we can definitely spend time encouraging and relating to one another as we talk about God's story and our story intersecting. Love you guys, and see you tonight.